Welcome back to this latest episode of Japan's Top Business Interviews. I'm your host, Dr. Greg Story, President, Dale Carnegie Tokyo Training. My special guest today is Mika Matsuo, who's previously the AIG Japan head of CHRO. You're having a number of jobs over the years, a number of big positions over the years, and we had a brief discussion when we met, and so people may not know your background. So just go back a little bit and tell us about your career and then how you wound up to these very high-level positions. And I'm particularly keen to, a little bit later, talk about the female viewpoint on leadership in Japan, because the majority of guests on my podcast are men. Naturally, this is Japan, so there are going to be CEOs, a lot of men. But I think it's very important to encourage women to also think about stepping up to leadership positions. So people like you are a good senpai.
Okay.
They're a good example of what's possible. So we'll come to that a little bit later. But let's just go back in your career. Where did you start and how did your career progress?
I think before starting with my career, I think my background, which is probably unusual for a Japanese woman.
Let's hear about that.
Yeah, born and raised in Japan, but went to an international school all my life. I was never educated in the Japanese education system. Yeah. And
so you went to school here or outside?
Yes, in Yokohama.
Yokohama, okay.
Yes. I went to at that time, it was an all-girls Catholic school.
Oh.
I was brought up by convent nuns who lived in the convent, and very strict Catholic education. And all of a sudden, when I was in middle school, I guess, there must have been some kind of restructuring in the Catholic Church, and the nuns started to become more open.
Oh,
yes, it was a big transformation for the school as well. And I think we were probably one of the first generation where we were educated to, if possible, to take on a career. Up to then, we were educated as very strict Catholic education. We stop when the nuns walk by. We look down. We don't look them in the eye.
Oh, really?
Yes,
well, this is like samurai times, you know?
Yes.
Don't look the samurai in the eye. Wow.
All of a sudden, it changed, and we had more lay people, I guess, who came in as teachers and who taught us really a lot about taking on a career as a woman.
Oh.
Yes. And although many of my classmates are full-time moms, there are a couple of us who became executives. So I think having that background really inspired me to, number one, go abroad to go to university. I went to Tufts University in Boston.
Tufts?
Yes.
Famous school?
Yes, famous school.
Boston?
Yes, Boston.
Cold place, I can imagine.
Yes, cold, but it's a beautiful city.
Yes, it is.
Yes. And then I came back for 2 years, earned some funds to get my MBA, and I went to San Francisco, another beautiful city.
Another beautiful city.
Yes, and that's where I got my MBA. And the reason...
And which university in San Francisco?
University of San Francisco.
So
Jesuit school.
Jesuit school. You're stuck with the Catholic line there, right?
Yes.
You're used to that strict education from the nuns, so Jesuit, no problem. You can fit into that
Yes.
world quite easily, I imagine.
And the reason I wanted to get an MBA is not because I wanted to study business, but I needed to get myself inside the door.
Right.
Yeah, as a woman.
Now, is that because you thought, I'm Japanese, I'm a woman, I'm going to be serving people tea and having no serious work here unless I elevate myself to a potential level where they have to treat me more seriously? Is that what you're thinking?
Yes, exactly. Of course, I'm bilingual, so that was always a weapon for me. But being bilingual would maybe make me an interpreter or a secretary. But I didn't want that. I wanted to be on my own. So I went to get my MBA, and I started my career at Citibank Japan.
Oh, okay.
Yes, I was recruited on campus and started my career when Citibank was starting its retail business here in Tokyo. So it was a good time. I got to do a lot of things there. I actually met very strong leaders who impacted my career. They left a lot of inspiration with me, as well as lots of good practical advice.
Now, were these American or foreign or
Yes,
Japanese
foreign.
leaders you're talking about? Foreign leaders?
Mostly foreign. My first boss was, what was he? He was American,
Right.
spoke Japanese, and lived in Japan forever. But my second boss was a Chinese Malaysian, but he was really very. He was probably not too many years older than I was.
Oh, okay.
But he was really very senior already at that time.
Well, he was a gun. He was a star.
Yes, he was actually. He led the Japan retail business in Citibank. And he gave me some very good advice about integrity, about being industrial all the time, and about keeping up my intelligence in terms of not my IQ intelligence, but being always being informed and up to date.
What's going on in the market, what's going on in business, what's going on in the global world view.
Yes.
Very good.
Yes, and then after him, there was my boss at that time was a guy from New York who had never held a passport before he came to Tokyo.
No.
But he was a great person. He was a great man.
It must have been a big shock for him coming to Japan. Your first big outing is Japan. Wow.
Yes. But the thing is, that's because he was new to Japan. He didn't care whether I was Japanese or whether I was a woman. He found out that
he saw you as a professional.
Yes, and he thought that I was capable. So he would give me out of the blue assignments. Like I was in the finance department, and he would say, "Mika, I want you to come up with the summer campaign for the summer." And I was like, I'm not in the marketing
department.
I'm not a marketing
So
person.
when you talk about the finance department, for people who may not understand, is that like looking after treasury inside the bank?
I was doing retail business expense management and investment management.
Okay.
So it was really limited.
So it's very internal.
Yeah, internal.
And now he's asked you to go out there and get customers.
Yeah. Yes.
Right.
But it was amazing. It gave me the idea that I can do anything. You know, the world is really open to whatever I want to do. So he was a great inspiration. And he was the one when I was pregnant with my son. I went to his office. I had to tell him I was pregnant. And I was at his office door. He goes, "Mika, come on in. Congratulations." And I'm like, "How come you know?" And he goes, "You must. You know, you just got married, and you know, it must be, that timing."
Yes.
And he was just
very understanding,
really very understanding, very supportive.
In a Japanese company, probably had to retire, quit the company. Yes. You're out.
Yeah, exactly. So, but he said, "Mika, come back early."
Come back early.
Come back early because I don't want you to stop your career. The consistency
wow.
and continuity is really important.
Wow.
Yeah, so he was a great boss.
That's really good advice in the context of work. I mean, come back with a child and work, that's not so easy. You know, he's making a path for you, but the path you're going to tread is very difficult.
Yes, and I think I was probably the first one in the retail business in Citibank, where I took my maternity leave and came back.
Wow.
Yeah. So
how long did you take leave?
4 months.
Oh my goodness, 4 months with a young baby.
Yes.
How on earth did you manage a full-time job with a young
but
baby?
actually in other parts of Citibank, there were senpai working moms.
Oh, there.
Yes, so it was really a great environment for me. Probably, I was much more supported by the people around me than the women today. The women today probably have some more difficulties because they have to be perfect. They have to be perfect working women, and they have to be perfect working moms. They have to be there for the family.
Was it because that was not so usual at that time? People didn't have particular expectations?
Exactly.
Right, you're a bit of a pathfinder, pioneer, so there's a bit of margin there. But today, come on.
Yeah.
Where's those results?
Yes.
Get that kid into Torah. What are you talking about?
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Amazing. And so, how long were you at Citi? How long did you stay there?
I stayed there until I was 40 years old. So 15 years almost.
Who was the last president when you were at
When
Citi?
the last one was, I cannot remember.
Okay.
Actually, globally, it was after the merger with Travelers Insurance,
Right.
but I'm not sure who it was in Japan. My boss was the reason. Actually, the reason I left Citibank at that time was my boss at that time, a Dutch person, an expat from the Netherlands. He was the first one where I was treated as a second-class citizen.
Oh.
And that's why I left Citibank.
Oh, really?
Yes,
Okay.
it was amazing.
That's interesting.
He brought his boys club from his previous assignment in Singapore. So all expats from various countries.
Mhm.
And then there were the Japanese expats. No, the expats who were already in Japan wasn't included in his club. And then the Japanese men were included in his club. And there was another American female executive, and she was included in the club, but not me.
But you, okay.
So I said, well, okay,
Okay,
fine.
there's a hint.
Yeah, I will move on. You know, I actually had quite an important role at Citibank by
So,
that
you
time.
know, in Japan, bosses come and go. They get sent out on a posting, an assignment,
Yes.
3, 4, 5 years or whatever. And it's very common in Japan for Japanese team members when they get a bad one,
Yes.
a bad boss or a stupid boss or someone who's, you know, just doesn't get Japan, or they realize he ain't going to be around. It's usually a he.
Yeah.
He ain't going to be around all that long. I'll just wait him out
Yes.
and we'll get the better one replacement.
Yes.
So that wasn't running through your mind.
Yes.
Just wait this character out and get a
No,
better boss. No?
Actually, at that time, the market was moving. There were many financial institutions that went under, and there were many financial institutions.
This is
that
not
were starting-
2008, is it?
No, this is before that. It was 2000, about 2000, 2001.
Oh, after the bubble popped on
yes,
the
when
on the tech,
Shinsei Bank came up.
Oh, yeah.
At that time, I had already gotten my Six Sigma Black Belt, Master Black Belt designation, because Citibank wanted to train me as a Six Sigma expert, and I went to work for JPMorgan as a Six Sigma internal consultant within JPMorgan Chase. And they were just, it was just after the merger of JPMorgan and Chase Manhattan. And it was really fun times. And I probably, in the 12 months that I was there, I managed about 30 projects,
Wow.
which was
That's a
really,
lot.
yes, it was really an exciting time. But my colleagues, my ex-colleagues from Citibank had, many of them had moved on to Tokyo Star Bank, where they were starting up. Yeah. And I went to join them. Yes. And they said, well, the boss, my new boss at Tokyo Star Bank, said, Mika, all the bad guys from the old Japanese bank is gone. We need you. We want to make the culture of this new bank more open and more global, and you're the right person. And I know.
So the Star Bank, what was it? Was it the
it was
industrial bank? No, it was industrial bank.
It was Tokyo Sowa Bank.
Tokyo
Sowa Bank.
So
Yeah, it was a very small regional bank in Tokyo, but it was kind of infamous for having a very what shall I say, top-down directive president, and he didn't manage the bank well, and it really went under. But it's a small bank, and it had its potential. So
Star Bank was a revolution then.
Yes.
It's interesting, you know, when I joined Shinsei Bank,
Yes.
it was in 2003. I remember talking to some of the HR people who had been in the bank, you know, when it was the original bank, at the hiring policy for women.
Yes.
Very interesting. The hiring policy for women was good-looking Japanese women.
Oh my goodness.
That was the hiring policy, on the basis that they're going to work the guys so hard they have no time to find a wife
Yes.
and have a family.
Yes.
So we'll hire really good-looking women and make it easy for them to find a wife, so we can keep them working.
Yes. Yes.
Nothing about women having a
Yeah.
career, but the guys should be taken care of with the good-looking
But
wives.
that's very
That's
typical.
very-
Very typical of Japanese
Not
companies.
surprising,
Yeah.
but since I was like the
Yeah.
change,
Yeah.
the change of
Yes.
thinking about
Yeah.
that.
Oh yes, so the I remember now. Citibank's last president was Yashiro-san.
Was my
Yeah,
boss.
yes,
When I
yes,
joined
yes.
Shinsei, he was
Yes.
the Yashiro-san was
Yes,
the boss. That's
yes.
what I was asking before. Was it,
Yeah,
I
I'm
was
sorry,
thinking,
yes.
I wonder whether he worked for Yashiro-san. or
No,
not.
I
Yeah.
didn't work for Yashiro-san because Yashiro-san was the head of Japan, and I worked for the retail business. So, Yashiro-san was there.
Yeah,
Yes.
well, he was quite, he brought a lot of his
Yes,
henchmen, from,
yes.
most of his Indian henchmen
Yes.
from City with him.
Yes.
So my boss is Indian.
Yes.
And a whole bunch of Indian
Yeah.
heads and the different divisions there came from
Yeah.
Citibank. So, it's interesting. Anyway, sorry, keep going.
Yeah. So I went to Tokyo Star Bank as the head of HR without having any experience in HR. But I did have experience in hiring, and I did have experience in talent management. And that's where my boss at that time wanted me to focus on. But of course, when I arrived, the real world was not so easy. All the bad guys were not gone. And I had to let go of many, many people at the same time. And we were also audited by the Japanese Labor Office.
Oh, labor
Yeah.
office. Uh-oh.
So I got my HR training on the job. Yes, on the job training. But it was a great experience for me. Tokyo Star Bank went public, and then we had to bring it private again when we were bought by Advantage Partners. So I experienced a lot of within the 5 years that I was there, I experienced a lot. We changed the culture from being a very domestic Japanese bank to becoming one of the, we were selected as the best place to work, top 20 companies.
Wow.
And the reason is, it wasn't any magic. It was really just introducing practices that were normal at gaishike companies to
Right.
to a Japanese bank. So the first things I said was no uniforms for women.
Yeah.
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 No, and then we also said if your husband is transferred to another part of Japan and we have a branch there, we will send you there because we want you to stay. The women, yes, because
normally the
yeah.
wife and the kids stay
Yes,
wherever
yeah,
in Tokyo,
yeah.
and then
Or-
Tanshin Funin
yeah,
for the husband
yes.
for 3 years
Yeah.
in some provincial place
Yeah.
by himself.
or they have to give up their careers
And go with the husband,
yeah.
yeah. Most
So-
of them don't do that because they worry about the kids' education. So it's like see you in 3 years, isn't it?
Yeah.
For most people.
Yeah, so those were the things. And of course, we made it very easy for people to take long time leave to study
Yeah.
or to go on a volunteer assignment.
Mm-hmm.
You know, these things that were very normal at Citibank were very new to Japanese banks. And we made the culture of the bank really open and transparent. And so I, as the head of HR, I was able to really have a great experience. And it was a good size. It was 1,000 employees, not too big, not, too small.
yeah.
Not too small.
Not so many branches.
Yeah, not so many branches. Yeah. And then I moved on to Moody's because I wanted to. Yes.
Okay. It's
I
quite
want-
a different
Yes,
track.
well, Moody's head of HR for Asia Pacific because I was getting tired of just staying in the Japan business. You know, I wanted to make sure that I continue my global career. So I went to Moody's as the head of HR for Asia Pacific. It was another amazing experience where I met really very intelligent people, but who were mostly introverts because they have analysts and they just look at the PC all day long. Yeah, but it was a different experience. And being the head of HR for Asia Pacific, I got to travel around Asia. My son was already in middle school by that time, so I would
You could move a little bit.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. So all of that. So it was, and of course, I had to close some offices in Asia Pacific, and that was another experience for me as HR. But learning about labor law outside of Japan was also interesting. Yeah.
So how long at Moody's?
2 years.
2 years, okay.
Yes. And then I came back to Tokyo Star Bank, actually.
Oh, you came back?
Yes, I came back.
Wow, okay.
And not
usual.
Yeah, not as HR, but as the head of the retail business.
As the head of the retail business?
Yes.
Wow.
So
that's another big difference, isn't
Yes,
it?
it was. And of course, no experience again. But my boss.
A lot of challenge spirit here. You see that pioneer spirit.
The thing is, I believe that if my boss, my future boss, thinks that I'm capable, I must be. This
is a good point,
yes.
and I'm sure we'll talk about this a bit more. But a lot of cases, I'm told anyway. I haven't seen any actual statistics on this, but I'm told that for a job description. If a man looks at it and he's got, say, 60%, he's going to say, I'll put my hand up for the job. Yes. But a woman looks at it, unless she's got 90% of it, she won't put her hand up.
Or 100%.
Or 100%, right? And so this is a sort of self-suppression of opportunity to move up. But you, in your case, you looked at it a bit of now, where was that idea coming from? That you didn't have to think, I have to be perfect, 100%, I can't put my hand up. You put your hand up anyway.
Yeah, because I think from the very beginning when my New York boss asked me to think of the marketing campaign, I realized that if someone thinks that I'm capable and I delivered, that means that I did have that capability.
It was there.
Yeah, it's there.
I could do something new I didn't know about and challenge it and succeed.
Yes.
I guess that builds your confidence to try things.
It does.
I mean, the different jobs you had, you're in roles where new role or new market or whatever, and so you're constantly, I guess, tempering your ability to step out of your comfort zone and try new things. I can see that.
Yeah, and I think one of the reasons I'm able to do that is because at one point in time, and I don't remember when, but I said, who cares about what people think about me? If I'm happy,
Well, it's also very unusual in Japan because Japanese people run around the whole time worrying about what people think about them, worrying what they're going to say about them, and being very, hesitant to do anything for fear of that. But you managed to bridge out of that.
Yeah, and I think when only a couple of years ago, I said, oh, maybe this is the reason why. Because remember in Japan, there's a saying that if you stick out,
the nail that sticks out gets hammered down.
Right? But there's another version of it, where if the nail sticks out and it sticks out too much, there's no way to hammer you down.
I've never heard that version.
Yeah, and so I said,
that must be the hidden version. No one ever talks about that version.
Yeah, and I said, I must be that.
Nail. You kind of banged me back down, and now I'm sticking with it. Good on you. It's funny though, growing up in Australia, I think that obviously Japan and Australia are quite different, but there are lots of things I find that are common, and we don't have the nail that sticks out saying in Australia. We have another one that says, "Cut down the tall poppy." So the poppy has a very long stem on the flower. So if any particular flower decides it's going to be above all the other flowers, it gets its head cut off so that all the flowers are the same height.
I see.
It's a very similar mentality around equality and don't step out. Japan does it from a different angle, but the result's the same.
Yeah.
So when I first heard about this nail that sticks out there, I said, oh, that's just like that tall poppy thing in Australia. Interesting. So some similarities there. Different to America. Completely different to America. Completely different. But anyway, please go on.
Yes. So where was I? Yes. So Tokyo Star Bank, I came back as the head of the business. And then when I was running the business, the earthquake hit on March
2011.
2011. And we had a branch up in Sendai.
Yeah, what, sorry?
A branch up in Sendai.
Oh, Sendai.
Yes. Yes. And it was not, we were not able to get back in to that building. So really a lot of stuff that I had to take care of within probably 6 weeks, of that earthquake. But what really, and
people forget.
Yeah, people forget.
People forget that earthquake, big earthquake on one day, but every single day for weeks.
Yes.
We were having 5, 6,
Yes.
7 major quakes
Yes.
every
Yes.
single day, and we had the
The
nuclear cloud, right?
Yes.
Pass over
Yes.
Tokyo, so you couldn't had to drink
Yeah.
water out of the
Yeah.
bottles because
And
the water supply was contaminated.
Also, electricity in
Yeah,
Tokyo,
electricity. Everyone's had to turn
right?
the lights
Yeah.
down, and it was
So,
really grim time.
As a bank, the Ministry of Finance requires us to open, whether the electricity is running or whatever, we have to open the door.
Really?
Yes, yes.
Even, okay.
Yes, so
okay, that's exciting.
the earthquake hit on Friday afternoon at 2:45, and we had to open the Sendai branch up in Sendai on Monday at 9
my
o'clock.
God.
And so over the weekend, we had to find a bank that was safe in Sendai area and borrow their table like this and call it our
Branch.
Yes, it was.
And the banks were cooperative, I guess.
Yes, of course.
Because they're all suffering too.
Yeah, but everyone was very supportive. But that's when I realized, and I had a very strong team of people who were able to get together and said, Matsuo-san, we will do, their individually, whatever their area of expertise is. You sit there and you let us know what we need to do, and we will do the running. And they said they will come back and report back to me. So every day in the morning and at 3 p.m. and at 6 p.m. we would meet. And I was there in the office and everybody was running around. And I just needed to really make decisions. And that's because the team were really independent and they found what they needed to do. And they helped open the branch on time every day, and also to make sure that the Sendai people, our employees in Sendai and their families are taken care of. Our customers in Sendai were taken care of. And that's when I realized that, I don't need to do everything. I just need to have a good team around me. If I have a good team, the team will really, and if we have a good team with good teamwork, then I am just able to make decisions.
I think, for any culture, any society, I think a major, event like that, earthquake, tsunami, 3 nuclear reactors blowing up, basically, people are in an emergency mentality, and the sort of things that normally hold people back are taken away, and they have to step forward, they have to take responsibility and accountability because it's an emergency. And I think for Japan too, as a team-based society, as a group-based society, I think that supporting the group, supporting society is very, very strong here.
Yes.
It's very good. I notice Australians are very good in chaos. Very good. If it's a chaotic situation in Australia, plenty of people pop up to lead. Plenty of people pop up. Okay, this is what we're going to do, and take control, and do it. And people go, yeah, that's right, let's do it. Work together as a team. The trouble is they like it a bit too much. So sometimes they maybe create some chaos because the adrenaline drive, it's exciting, right? So, but that's that group thing. I think in Japan is a real strength. Pulling together as a unit, supporting each other, taking accountability. That's good. If we get them to take more accountability all the time, that'd be better.
Yes. Actually,
apart from when it's an emergency.
Yeah.
But okay, so how long did you stay at?
I was only able to stay there for 18 months as business leader because another private equity came and bought Tokyo Star Bank, and so I had to leave. It was a great
typical private equity.
Yes.
Welcome to our new private equity owners.
Yes.
The door is there. Start lining up.
Yeah. So I only had 18 months as a business leader, so I had to go back to HR, and that's when I found my role at AIG as the head of...
Again, here we're now in insurance, right?
Yes.
Totally different business again, right?
Yeah, but financial industry.
Financial industry, yeah.
And the reason they wanted me was...
Plenty of introverts doing all the numbers.
Yeah. But AIG had already... bought 100% of Fuji Fire Marine, and we had to integrate the two.
Totally different cultures.
The smaller
pay scales, computer systems, everything.
Yeah, and the smaller one buying the bigger one.
Yes.
So they needed to needed an HR person to do all of what you said, change the HR, the pay scale, the work roles, all of that, and also to build a new culture. And what they the reason they wanted me is because I had delivered at Tokyo Star Bank the culture change. And they said that, although the size is very different, that at least I have the experience, and not many people have that experience.
In the case of Star Bank, it's a domestic business in Japan. The case of AIG, it's an international business with a Japan section branch. And so it's much more plugged into the AIG world, I imagine, And so here you are, Citi would have been the same, JPMorgan would have been the same. But here you are, AIG, very big company, and lots of matrix reporting going on. So very complex.
Yes, very complex
business, actually,
very
when
complex.
You think about it.
Yes, very complex. But I think one of the reasons AIG was able to successfully integrate the two businesses is because we had really strong leader at the top in Japan. And that was Bob Nodin. That Bob Nodin, right? Yeah, and he was a leader who really would say, "I will go first, follow me." And sometimes you need that kind of leadership, and sometimes you need leadership that would say, you walk first, and I will
back you up.
Right?
Well, so, I guess after a big integration like that, leaders got to take the lead. They've got to follow me. Otherwise nothing's going to happen, right? Because you're actually there's so much patronage in Japanese society and in organizations, and you're here because I brought you with me, and we're against that division over there. They're the enemy, not the actual other insurance company, but that other division is the enemy. Unite with me against them, and we went to this university and they went to that. Like I remember. In some cases they have logo colours, on the merger beforehand, like the green team, the blue team. And then after the merger, they're merged. But people remember, green team, you came from the green team, we're from the blue team. That stuff doesn't go away in one generation, and it's very hard to actually get people to work together. So it's not an easy thing.
One of the things that Bob insisted was that we are not going to merge, we're going to build a new company.
Right. Yes. Okay. So you took a different approach.
So it's not
takeover.
Ex Fuji or ex AIU. It's like we are building a new company. And actually, AIG globally sent a lot of expats into Japan to make this merger successful. And at that time, I was managing a lot of expat community within AIG as well. Right. But it was really a great team that Bob, Bob's leadership team at that time was a great team.
And how long were you at AIG?
About 9.5 months.
9.5 months?
No, 9 years and 9.5 years.
Okay,
so
thank
almost
you.
10
Wow,
years.
9.5 months is a bit short. 9.5 years.
Yeah.
Okay, so quite a. And then since then, you've mainly been on boards and that type of thing? Yeah, okay.
Yes.
So thinking about your career, thinking about the different stages in your career as a leader, what did you find worked well to get people to follow you? Because in a lot of cases, you're a woman, right? You're Japanese. You're new to the company or you're new to the business or the industry, and you're pathfinding many, many times. So you've got to get people to believe in you and follow you as their leader. And you're not necessarily coming from within. You're not necessarily coming from the same industry. You've actually done a lot of amazing things there. What did you find worked well to get people to be engaged, to follow you?
I listen. And it's natural for me, and I never really thought that was a strength. But I probably have a great way of listening where people want to talk. So when I meet new people, when I join new teams, I make sure that I spend a lot of time listening to what they have to say, and somehow they open up, and we become a team. And I think it really is something that I learned to appreciate recently, that this is a key strength that I have, that I have to probably make sure I keep on improving.
If you want to be successful as a leader, do the Leadership Training for Managers course. All companies need people who can both manage and lead. Leading people screams out for real skills in communication, dealing with all different types of people, being excellent at innovation, planning, delegation, handling mistakes, doing performance reviews really well, and inspiring and motivating the team. Do the Leadership Training for Managers course now in either Japanese or English. Leading is easy. Getting people to follow is the hard part. That is a great quote from Yogi Berra. Surprisingly, despite the complexities of leading here in Japan, everyone has to work it out by themselves. Foreign leaders want practical, applicable, expert advice. This is now available for the first time in history. Grab your copy of Japan Leadership Mastery on Amazon today and avoid the mystery, trial and error, especially the errors. And in terms of, getting people engaged, I mean, listening is very, very important. Anything else that you found worked well apart from listening?
I listen, and I also, I'm always very transparent. Very transparent with my private life, with my professional life. I never.
Now that's interesting.
Yes.
Japan's an unusual country.
Yeah.
Like, you'd be working with people, and then suddenly you find out they had, got married.
Yes.
Or you find out that their spouse had a baby or something. It's like we work together, but that's like my private life is over here, my work life is over here. I'm not mixing the two together at all. Which was like that in Australia when I was growing up. Work life, private life, completely separate. These days, it's more integrated. We're more holistic in that sense. But in Japan, when it was quite separate.
And the reason I am very open is that's the only way I was able to manage a full-time career and being a full-time being a mom. So when I was raising my son, that was back in the city days and also in the Tokyo Starbucks days. In the city days, no iPhones, no, not even personal PCs at home.
Oh, wow, nothing,
So all I had to do was to make sure that everyone knew what I was working on, and that my team knew everything, where everything is in my office, and that they can take on if I had to stay at home with my son. Yeah. So I really being open.
In those days, you couldn't work from home.
No,
really,
no. Only telephone.
Telephone. Wow.
Yeah. So I would be very open about my son maybe becoming a little bit sick. And I may
up something at nursery.
And I may need to stay home for a couple of days. All of that I was very open with. And when there's family days and everything like that, I would bring my son over and
It's really key is the company's supportive.
Yes.
I mean, this is where asking people to basically put the company above their family, particularly health issues. That's like really, but in Japan, that's normal. Japan traditionally in this post-war period anyway, work's number one. You and your family are not number one, so it's good that the company's behind you to do that, because if you're in a Japanese company. What do? You don't work for a start because they fired you when you got married for a start. You're out.
So being open and being transparent, about my private life, about my professional life, also not being open and being able to share my knowledge, my experience, and giving advice if I'm asked. All of that. I don't take anything back. I think it's only fair for me to be open and be able to open the gateway for people, if that is helpful. And I think that is the reason why people open up to me and trust me.
What about the case of getting ideas from below? Because in a lot of cases, you were not familiar with that industry in depth or that company. And so you're dealing with a lot of people who've probably been in the company a long time, been in the industry a long time. They've got a lot of experience. They've got a lot of ideas. So what did you find worked well to get ideas out of people, to bottom up ideas for you?
Especially this is when I started working as an HR professional at Tokyo Star Bank, totally new to HR. And I joined the team as their bucho. And I said, well, I've never been in HR boo before, so, you have to teach me. And I was very open that I don't know stuff. And, if I really am not good at something, I would say, please tell me, please teach me. I need to learn. And if I ask you 3 times or 4 times or 5 times, I'm sorry if I'm a slow learner. All of that, I think, again, it's being part of being transparent and open and honest.
It's also difficult, isn't it? Because generally speaking, people are promoted into leadership boss positions based on their capabilities and skills, right? And so there's a certain pressure that you have to know everything, or you have to be the best, or you've got to be the most smart, the most talented, the hardest worker, whatever. On that basis, people will support me. But these days, business is so complex. How on earth can you do that? I mean, there's no way you can do that anymore. It's just like impossible. So we have to have that mindset of asking others for help, and don't connect. The fact of asking diminishes my status as the boss or my role. That's just part of the role now. It's a different role, right? And it's got to be more broad spectrum than it used to be.
When I talk about leadership to many of my kohai people, I say if you become a leader, the amount of information you get is very different. And so you have to select what are the key risks and what are the key opportunities. And that's how you balance your decision. But because you have so much more information, there's a whole different world in front of you. It's like climbing a mountain, although I'm not a mountain climber. But, if you go to a different height, the scenery that you see is very different. And I think that's very similar to leadership. With the amount of information, you cannot make the same decisions when you're at the bottom of the mountain as, if you're up here. So I think that's where people misunderstand. When you are in that position, you're given the tools and you're given the information.
And I think also too, when you're in that position, you're getting a lot of information from headquarters overseas. If it's a Gaishike company, a foreign multinational, you're getting a lot of information from the senior leadership. It's coming to you. It's not going to the people below you, but it's coming to you. So your perspective broadens and your information sources are rich in direction and strategy and changes and whatever, right? So a lot of times you can't pass that stuff on because it's too sensitive, or the market may not know about it yet or whatever. But you have that insight, which the people below you just will not get that information until you decide to tell them, basically, or the company decides to release it. So, yeah, that is a different role. In terms of trust, now, I don't know. Trust is important in every culture. Somehow, I always feel in Japan, trust is just that more important than even in other cultures. I don't know why I feel that, but I feel somehow, yes, it's important everywhere. It's the same everywhere, yes, but Japan is just that little bit more important. So what did you find worked well to build trust with people? Particularly as, again, new companies, new industries, many, many times you had to bridge into those things and build that trust around you. So how did you find that worked for you?
To me, I think being myself and being my, really it's about authenticity and also being able to be vulnerable, I think are 2 keys.
Let me just stop you on authenticity because whenever I hear this word, I often say to myself, I've seen plenty of authentic leaders who are extremely bad. They're authentically bad. Yelling at people authentically, pounding the table authentically, being very direct with people, being mean to people authentically. So when we say authentically, I'm always, I hear that word, I think, well, hang on, what are we talking about here? Because bad, authentic leadership is still bad. So what do you mean when you say authentic?
Being authentic to me is being just myself, not making any imposturation, not trying to be another person, and also not trying to wear a different costume
Mm-hmm.
or perform,
Mm-hmm.
a different role.
Mm-hmm.
Just being my real self
Mm-hmm.
is, to me, being authentic.
Mm-hmm.
And being a woman and being a young leader with older people working for me on different teams, from a very young age, I made sure that I have respect for everyone.
Mm-hmm.
Especially in the way I speak,
Mm-hmm.
especially in Japanese,
Keigo,
the
polite
levels of politeness is different.
Yeah.
So even with young people, I continue to use keigo because I want one of these days they may be my boss, right? Yeah. So I always make sure that I am very respectful with when I speak.
And
to
people don't understand this about Japan with business cards, right? They think, business cards, it's old hat. I'm from Silicon Valley. I just have my thing on my phone straight to LinkedIn or something. I say, hey, wait a minute. The reason for the business card is so that people know how to speak to you here. And the first thing they look at the card isn't your name.
It's
straight to the company name. How big is this company relative to my company? If you're a much bigger company, I have to speak in a certain way to you. And then within that company, what's your position? So I can gauge what level of polite language I need to use with you. And if you don't have that information, Japanese are lost because they're hesitant to say anything because they might upset you and they don't know. So whenever I meet foreigners who say, I don't use business cards, I think, hello. Like, there's a major source of information here. Why would you give that up? But anyway, please go on.
Yes. So where were we?
Yeah, we're talking about being polite.
Being polite, being polite and being able to respect everyone. That even there are people who I don't like, and of course there are people who I don't get along with, but I try to be respectful. Yes, I think that is the simplest bottom line for me, being respectful.
The other thing you were going to say before I cut you off about authenticity was vulnerable.
Yeah.
You were just about to talk about that. So talk about that. Again, it comes back to that thing about when I grew up in business in Australia, none of my bosses showed an iota of vulnerability. They were like armor-clad knights of the realm, fighting in business, and they showed no weakness, no vulnerability. It was all strong, Aussie macho leadership, So where does vulnerability fit into it today?
Yeah. So I the earthquake was really my turning point to show my vulnerability.
Okay.
Because I was really helpless. There was nothing I can personally do, but all the people around me work for me. But another good example is my experience as an executive advisor to the CHRO at Asahi Group, the company that was recently attacked, the cyber attack, right? I met the CHRO, and he's a few years younger than I am, but he is the first time I met him, and for probably 2 years, 2 years, he would not smile. He was a very straight-faced, he was nice, he was kind, he was, but he would not smile because I think he thought smiling was not businesslike.
Okay.
Right.
Now we're talking about the head of HR here, which is all about people.
Yes.
It's all about relationships. It's all about feeling, but I'm not going to smile at anyone.
Yeah. So
okay.
For 2 years, I tried to, every time I met with him, I would try to talk to him about, as the head of HR, what I used to do is to maybe write to my team every month or do a town hall. As the CHRO of a global company, do town halls when you visit the office in Prague or the office in Melbourne. And he started doing that. And at the beginning, I had to write his script because Japanese executives don't write their own their own speeches, right? But I had to write the script. But after maybe a year and a half, he said, Matsuo-san, you don't need to write them anymore. I will write my own.
I got it now.
Yeah. And after that, he started, there was one point where there was a problem with the printer and he couldn't print out his script.
Panic.
Overseas. But of course, he had practiced many times before. So he spoke without script, and he
Which
was
is so much better, right?
He was so much better. And that's when he started smiling and he started showing his vulnerability. He said, speaking English for him was,
torture.
But he started doing all of this. He now gets on video messages and everything.
Doing wonderfully.
Yeah, and he's smiling all the time.
I wonder if the exposure to Aussie culture had an impact on him too, because Australia is a very laid back culture. It's a very, very diverse culture. Many nationalities. I think the majority of Australians are born outside of Australia now. Something like that in the population is huge. And so they're also easygoing. So if you're a Japanese visiting executive, they're not expecting you to be a great orator. Actually, they don't care. They want you to be a nice person and someone they can have a beer with and
exactly.
they can talk to and communicate with in a nice way. So the pressure is not maybe as intense as he's been exposed to before, perhaps. I don't know. I don't know whether that had an impact on him, but I can easily imagine him get down in Australia with a whole bunch of Aussies, how they would treat him. And it wouldn't be a pressure situation. Their expectations would be extremely low. They wouldn't be expecting anything, really. So anything above that was a plus. So good on him. Good on him. Yeah, very good. And so what else works in gaining trust?
I think having an open mind about and really trying to limit your biases. Of course, as a human being, I probably have a lot of biases, but I try to catch myself beforehand. And I think, for example, when I'm old as I am right now, the vast majority of the working population is much younger than I am. And I have a lot to learn from the younger people. And I don't want to start with the bias that, I know better. I always want to make sure that I can learn from this person that I'm speaking to right now. And they have different feelings and they have different upbringing, so their how they capture one incident is very different from
and
mine.
Also they're closer often to the consumer base as
Exactly.
well. They're dealing with that age group where we're probably, in my case, decades away from that age group, and so I don't have that exposure to what they see, read, listen to, whatever. I don't connect with that because it's just generational, Even with my wife, our musical taste is the big differentiator between us more than anything else. What she likes to listen to, what I like to listen to, totally different. I mean, she's Japanese, but she's very Western in that sense. But that's the one thing that's a big difference. So when we're in the car and it's her phone that's playing the music and not my phone, I just have to sort of sit there and grin and bear it, put up with it, and probably vice versa when it's my phone playing the streaming music too. But again, there's that generational gap, isn't it?
Yeah. So making sure that I am always open-minded and making sure that I'm not biased.
What about culture? You have in organisations you're going to have if it's a global company, you have the global culture, one umbrella, and then sitting underneath that we're in Japan, so you've got Japanese culture, and then below that you have Mika culture or Greg culture, what we like. This company here runs exactly how I want it to run because I'm the boss. I'm the owner. I run it to the culture that I want, Thank God for that. But it's my culture that I want, and I create the system here to have that culture. Now, it still has to fit into Japanese culture. It still has to fit into Dale Carnegie global culture. I can't ignore. If I go against those two things, I have trouble. But still, what did you find worked well to get organizations to create the culture that you wanted in your divisions and in your areas?
When it comes to corporate culture, I think making sure that the leadership team at the top of the house has agreed on the direction that we're going. That is totally very important. And if there's only one person who's not bought in, that person destroys everything. So you have to make sure that the top of the house is really one team. and one message. And I think that is the most important thing in a corporate culture. Being in a Japanese culture, for me, I try to tell some of my non-Japanese colleagues that sometimes you can take advantage of being non-Japanese. Or sometimes you can
Tell me about that. I'm not Japanese.
Well,
Where's my advantage in there?
Because sometimes, being a woman also sometimes can get me things that Japanese men cannot get.
Yeah.
And so for non-Japanese people, it's the fact that, again, you mentioned that some of these expats who come to Japan, they have 3 to 5 year period and they're gone. So many of the Japanese people, they stay.
Just wait them out.
Yeah, wait them out, right? Yeah. But sometimes you take advantage of that and say, I'm Gaijin and I don't know anything about Japan, so I'm going to do a different thing and you have to come with me and you really have to help us do this. And I think that's how Tokyo Star Bank at that time when I was there was run by actually 2 non-Japanese guys, both Mormon. One was Robert Berardi and the other one was Todd Budge. And both of them were Japanese. Yeah. Both of them speak Japanese perfectly, but they kind of use that leverage of being non-Japanese and say, we're going to make this bank, we're not making it foreign, we're making it a different Japanese bank. We don't want a very tight, very narrowly defined bank. We want it to be open and different for our customers, and that's why we're doing this. And I think being a non-Japanese sometimes gets you to go that step farther.
Yeah, it can. Yeah, you can tread on some toes.
Yes.
Not even knowing it sometimes, not even knowing it, and get away with it. But a Japanese person, no margin of error there. Yeah. And what about in terms of as a female leader? You talked about the advantage. Sometimes it's an advantage to be a woman as well. You can do things that maybe men can't do. But there are a lot of Japanese women who could step up to leadership positions who, for whatever reason, they choose not to. They look at the bosses and the lifestyle they're leading, and they say, well, I don't want to have that lifestyle. Working like a dog all the time. I want to have a life. Or they don't believe in themselves enough that they've got that, they've got the job description, they haven't got a perfect 10 out of 10, so I can't possibly put my hand up, I'll just wait. Or, for whatever reasons that pop up. What would you say to encourage females who are in business, who could step up into leadership positions? How would you encourage them?
What I often advise is for them to really prioritize what they want to get done. If they I think life is really a series of decisions and priorities and making decisions on what is more important. And sometimes you have to decide that, maybe slow down in your career or slow down in your family. But whichever it is, I think it's decision making. And many women, I think even non-Japanese women, I think tend to make these decisions on their own. And I think it's totally important to have the whole family be part of that decision. So if you are going to continue your career that really is time consuming, you have to have the support of the whole family. And I think that is the most critical thing. But many Japanese women just think that they have to do it all on their own. And it's not possible. There's only one of you.
That's right,
If it's not possible, you ask for help, and that comes from the company as well as from the family. You don't just ask the company for a lot more support. You also have to ask your family as well.
What other things would you say to encourage them? You talked about before, you stepped into jobs, roles, and you took it on. and you made it work, and that gave you that confidence to try that again. So how do they get on that first rung? You know, if they're sort of hesitant to step up, they won't get that chance to realize, oh, I can actually do this, you know?
I tell them, you know, this is taking advantage of the fact that I'm part of an HR community. You know, I tell the people, I say, even to men, I say, you know, trust the people around you. They are observing you. They want to get to know you, and they are looking at you, looking at your decisions that you make, looking at your performance, looking at what you delivered, and they think that you can make it. That means, you know, you're the only one who's believing that you cannot do it. I think, you know, because the people, you know, the companies are serious about making these decisions. They don't, you know, half-heartedly make these decisions. It's based on facts and based on observations of multiple people. And if the majority of the people say you can do it, I think you can do it.
So, you know, we have a declining population in Japan. We have a big debate now about immigration.
Yes.
And certainly in the what we call the white collar or blue collar, white collar workforce, there's a shortage of people, no doubt about that. And so the major group to tap, the most capable, well-educated group, are women. And so not having an opportunity to promote women inside the company is really going to hold them back, because they just won't have enough capacity amongst the guys to find enough guys to be in these positions. And it's going to be a competition, like a zero-sum game. You know, someone leaves here and goes there, well, you have trouble filling that position. So you've really got to start developing the entire workforce, I think, including women, to be able to step into roles if people leave, you know. So you've got bench strength, so to speak, and must include women. And companies who don't do that, they're going to be suffering.
Yes, they are going to be suffering. And I think the important thing is how you work. Because companies that have realized that you cannot be sustainable with, you know, 100 hours of overtime, or working on weekends, or going on customer golf events on weekends, if they have not realized that that's not sustainable, you know, their business is probably not sustainable. And I think if you remove all of that and say, you know, work is, you know, is not everything, you know, you have to have a life, then I think women can step into roles that used to be run by men.
Absolutely. If someone called you up, Mika, and said, hey, Mika, I've been given a presidential role in Japan for my company, and I'm going out to Japan to start working there, but, you know, I don't understand Japan, I don't speak Japanese, you know, I want to be an effective leader. What would be some advice you'd give them to be an effective leader in Japan?
To be an effective leader in Japan? I think, number one, I do think that people have to respect the Japanese culture. Also, number two is don't be deceived by the English capability, because some people who are not so good in English are the best people in the company. And just because they don't speak English fluently doesn't mean that they are not capable. Reverse is also true. Even if someone is really good in English, they may not be capable at all. So don't be deceived by that. I think those are probably the most, you know, immediate, you know, first advice that I would give. Eventually, after you learn about Japan, I want to say that in many cases, people will say, "Oh, that's not possible in Japan," but usually that's not true. So don't be deceived by that either. At AIG, before Bob Nodin was Jose Hernandez, and Jose was told by his HR people that their restructuring in Japan is not possible. Getting led rid of people is not possible. And I said, well, yes, it's possible. We just need to do it in a different way, and you have to do it in a legal manner and very organized manner. But it is possible, and I made it happen, and that's how I got the trust of Jose Hernandez. So I think, many people will say, oh, this is Japan, you cannot do this, but that's usually not true.
Well, they can't do it.
Yeah.
That's what they say.
Yeah.
I don't know how to do it, so it can't be done. What about language? Do they learn Japanese?
Japanese is not, I think, not a critical factor. Of course, at least show the effort that you tried. But many of my bosses who were in Japan, who were very successful, never had the time to keep up their lessons.
Yeah. I'm sure they started.
Yeah, they
Japanese and then
started. Yeah.
Suddenly just got busy.
Yeah. And that's fine. I think the fact that you just started, shows the employees that, oh, he's serious. He's here to stay. But, for some people, Japanese is very difficult. And, for some it's not that difficult, then, go ahead and learn. But it really is not a must, because I think there are ways to get around it.
One thing I found about Japanese language too, it's a real key to understanding the culture as well. I mean, you may not become super fluent in Japanese, and you may not, have a big vocabulary or be able to read necessarily, but when you start to learn certain things in Japanese, you start to piece the puzzle of the culture together a bit better too. It starts to make sense a little bit more than if you don't have access to the language, I think. Yeah. What would be, go ahead, sorry.
Yeah. The other thing is, if you don't have a respect for the Japanese ways of doing business, maybe you will not be successful. So I think you have to understand that sometimes Japanese decision-making takes time.
Yep.
But although it takes time, once it's decided, things get rolling, start rolling. So I'm not saying that you have to wait forever, but you can make it faster once you understand.
Yeah, so which is faster?
Yeah.
The typical Western quick decision, then no one does anything.
Yeah.
They didn't really agree anyway. They sabotage it or something, or, take time to get their consensus and then roll it out. What's your definition of leadership?
Leadership is really defining where we're going, whether it's the end state or whether it's a goal. Making sure that it's simple and it's clear where we are going, and making sure that the team understands that there is a path towards that goal, and leading the way. And again, I think depends on your leadership style, but you can be at the front of the group, or you can be at the end of the group, but making sure that the whole team is moving on. I think that's leadership.
Sounds good. Well, thank you very much. This has been
thank
fascinating. So please join us again for our next episode, Japan's top business interviews.